The Bills wrapped up OTAs on Thursday, and we're here at One Bills Drive. Vic Carucci with Jay Skurski. The news centers around wide receivers. Sammy Watkins coming back to practice on a limited basis, but it is the first real sign of progress since he underwent foot surgery. So I would say from that standpoint it's encouraging, but Sean McDermott was very careful to say that he's got to continue to be diligent from now through the summer and, of course, through training camp.
Yeah, hearing him say one day at a time, I guess, you know, how else would you approach it? You know, that makes sense. But I think it is a sign that he should be on track. I mean, let's face it, this surgery was done in January. If he's not ready by, you know, August 1st when training camp rolls around or around that time, there's something seriously wrong here. So, yeah, I mean, in the grand scheme of things here, a June 8th mini camp practice or spring practice, how big of a deal is it really? I think symbolically, though, it shows that, you know, he's making progress in his recovery, which you would hope, because let's face it, Vic, I mean, we see what this wide receiver core looks like without Sammy Watkins and without Zay Jones, who also returned to practice the last few weeks, and they're hurting. They need him. I mean, they need him badly, and as badly as the Bills need Sammy Watkins needs to be on the field. If he wants to land a contract somewhere with this team not picking up his option, his only chance of getting that contract is showing what he can do over a full 16-game season. So he needs to be ready.
Yeah, and for his part, by the way, he is sticking to a plan of not speaking with the media. Wanted to hear from him, but not speaking to the media until training camp. That's what he says. You mentioned Zay Jones back fully working. Reggie Ragland having his first full day of practice today as well. Missed all of last season with the knee injury. Said he felt a little pop of, I guess, just scar tissue when he got out there, but felt fine through the whole practice. So we'll see how that all goes with him. Speaking of receivers, this team pursued Jeremy Maclin, free agent from the Kansas City Chiefs. Maclin was to visit the Baltimore Ravens on Thursday as well. The Bills apparently still in the hunt, but it was pretty clear from Sean McDermott, maybe not saying so directly, that this is still about being smart about how they go about their business, not to be knee-jerk. And I guess that's code for saying they're not going to overspend for what seems to be a short-term solution.
Yeah, I think long-term, you know, if Jeremy Maclin is looking for something that's more than a one-year type of a contract that is usual at this point in the season for guys, I mean, they usually have to prove it on short-term deals. If Maclin, who's only 29 years old, thinks he's got a bigger deal out there, then I can very easily see why there might be a stalemate between the Bills and his camp. Now, certainly, you know, we talked about that wide receiver depth chart. He would slot in very nicely at the number 2 receiver, but if this team is about building for not just 2017, but down the road, I can understand why they may have some hesitation as to say, we're going to pay Jeremy Maclin a lot of money. They may still want to pay Sammy Watkins. We'll see what happens this year. So, and I think it's very similar to the situation with Gary Barnidge, the tight end. If these guys want to take short-term, not huge money deals, then I'm sure the Bills would love to have them. If they're looking for something more, as I think could be the case with both of those players, that explains why, as of right now, they're not Buffalo Bills.
No question. All right, OTA's over, the voluntary stuff. Mandatory minicamp next week, and we will be out there next week. In the meantime, check all our coverage out, Jay Skurski's work and mine, on BuffaloNews.com. And for Jay, I'm Vic Carucci saying again, we'll catch you back later on BuffaloNews.com. And thanks to Jim McCoy.